Of course it's okay for kids to be naughty. I am, of course, kidding. Hi everybody, welcome to Talk and Chalk. I'm purposely naming this with a little bit of, clickbait, because I'm following up on a post that I shared, I guess it was about a week ago, that really had some mixed responses, and I wanted to get into that today because I think there's some things that we need to change in our system with regards to the responses that were shared. So before I get into it, if you're new to the channel, welcome. All of my buttons and everything are in the description below. I'm on various social media under different things, so you can follow me on there. The subscribe button is there. I am closing in on 10,000 subscribers, which was never the goal, but it's so great to know that there's people out there that want to learn from each other. Pop things in the comments below if you've got something to add. You know, sharing is caring and we all learn from each other. I'm not an expert. I'm an assistant principal. I work in Southwest Sydney. I'm in the public system and I love what I do. So that's the whole point of this channel. So getting into it today, I shared this across all of my social media and it was interesting to see the responses from, I guess, different platforms. And I shared it into a couple of groups on Facebook that I belong to, and no one was mean or spiteful or vindictive or anything like that, but it just made me realize that everyone is really working in different contexts. So if you didn't see the post, this was the picture that I shared. I'm just going to make sure that that's in the screen there. So it says, when our students are out of control, defiant, disrespectful, oppositional, disruptive, what they really might be communicating to us is, and we've got some very real examples here. The landlord kicked us out of our home and we don't have a place to stay. I don't understand this material. I'm worried people will think I'm dumb. The cops arrested my dad last night. I didn't get any sleep. My parents were fighting. I'm living with a foster family. I don't know when I'll see my mum again. We don't have much food at home. I'm really tired and hungry. And the reason I shared this obviously is because this resonates with me, not just in my current context, but across all of my teaching career. These are things that I've had my own students experience and had to deal with. And these are problems that really, even as adults, are difficult for us to process. I have no idea how I would cope if, you know, someone in my family was arrested, or if I was pulled out of my home, or if I had nowhere to go. Thankfully, I have lovely friends and family and colleagues around me that I know all care, so I don't have that thought looming over my head that could possibly happen. I've no idea how a child would process this. A child whose brain is still developing would be able to process this. A child who has no idea about how to control emotions or behavioral actions appropriately would be able to cope with this. The response that was generally shared when I put this post up was, you know, lots of love hearts, lots of sad faces, lots of teachers commenting, exactly right. I've got these kids in my class, you know, I don't know how they're dealing with it. A lot of teachers going, I don't know how I'm dealing with this, knowing that about that child. But then there were a lot of teachers, educators, leaders, I don't know who they all are personally, but there was also a lot of responses that said, oh, so that makes it excusable. So that means it's okay to have this behavior. A lot of people commenting about, you know, teachers are already burning out. Now we have to deal with this kind of thing as well. Should this be allowed to happen? Absolutely not. I'm not advocating whatsoever that those behaviors are, you know, appropriate for the classroom, are safe for themselves or for other students or for those teachers, and they're not the most mentally healthy way for a person to be coping with something as well. What I wanted to get across was the fact that when we see these behaviors in our kids, we're identifying the true cause. Because if we're not identifying the true cause, the root cause of what's going on in our kids, then we're not necessarily going to apply the most appropriate strategy for that child to be able to get them into a place where they're either, you know, emotionally safe, emotionally stable, or in a place where they know is a safe and appropriate way for them to share their feelings, their concerns, their pressures, because that's what they're under. They're under pressure. I mean, the only reason we don't flip out at work is because we'll lose our job and no longer have money, you know, and that's why when we get home, we do flip out on our family. We do yell at our family. We do speak rudely sometimes to our friends or our loved ones because we feel safe around them, and we know that, you know, the repercussions really may not feel as bad as losing our job, which is what, provides us with an income to be able to live. It can damage relationships and has for people, and we don't want that to happen to our kids. We don't want our kids to be in a place where they don't have their peers and their friends because they're demonstrating those behaviors and their friends can't trust them. Their friends don't feel safe around them. So when we look at those things, when we look at things like, when they say, oh, well, they didn't get enough sleep, big whoop, I didn't get enough sleep either. You're an adult. You're an adult. Kids need more sleep than us. Kids don't process things right. Kids can't come to school and go, oh, do you know what? I'm feeling really run down today. I'll just get myself a coffee and I'll be fine. It doesn't work that way. Those kids could be coming into the school and thinking, oh, I feel really tired and I don't want to tell my teacher why because I'm so embarrassed to admit that Dad was arrested last night. I'm so embarrassed to admit that I didn't have breakfast today. I'm also embarrassed to admit that my clothes haven't been washed for a week and I can smell it. And I know if I can smell it, everyone else can smell it. So I don't want to play with anyone because I'm worried they'll call me smelly. These are not things that kids should need to process during the day. So when I put posts up like this, obviously I put it up there because I'm student-centered. And I really want to make sure that our kids are okay. And yes, our curriculum is overloaded. And no, we're not welfare and wellbeing experts. But you know what? Between 9 and 3 every single day, those kids are in my care and I'm going to give them the best care that I can. So in response to those who were putting up comments and stuff saying, oh, so this is acceptable, so this is appropriate, so now we have to deal with this. At first, I kind of got really defensive about it, and I thought, far out, you don't know what these kids are really dealing with. You must be in one of those schools where mum and dad are lovey-dovey, everyone gets along, and they go on holidays, and they've all been to the beach, and they go to Disneyland, and la 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 la. And then I thought, no, I need to be really realistic about this. And again, get to the root cause of why is that their response. And I could really only come to one conclusion. I feel like those people responding straight away with, oh, so this is acceptable, this is an excuse, must have current or recent or even long distant experience in a school where it was used as an excuse. Whether it's by teachers or leaders, I don't know. I can relate. I've seen it happen. I've got colleagues that have gone through it themselves where they feel like their consequences haven't been followed through, like parents aren't really communicated to properly about how severe the behavior is, where they've had to deal with parent complaints because their child is too scared to go to school because of those behaviors. So I feel like those people that are experiencing those things have been in a place themselves, that rock and hard place themselves, where they know something needs to be done for that child, but it's not getting done appropriately. It's just being excused. Johnny's up on the tables again. Yeah, but he's in foster care. What are we going to do about it? Well, that's not the right approach. There is always something that can be done about it. It just means about going about it the right way. So what I really want people to take away from this is if you are in a situation where you're experiencing that, or you can see that happening and you feel like you're powerless to do anything about it, you're absolutely not powerless. There are always paths that you can go down to be able to, really hone in on what's going on with that kid and to support them. And there's various different ways that you can do that. Obviously, peer-to-peer, our colleagues are our best buddies. If you know that your colleague is going through this, if they're dealing with this behavior day in, day out, there are things that you can do to support them, even if it's just letting them vent to you at the end of the day. If you're being that person that provides like a timeout solution, or if you are doing something where you can buddy up with those classes just to be able to give that child some relief from that pressure of being in that room with those kids and knowing that those kids know what's going on at home all day long, something like that. If you're running a music group or guitar group and you can want to extend it to that child, that would be great. If, I know we don't get much of our lunches, but if you want to take that teacher's lunch duty for just one day and give them a break, or if you want to go out with little Johnny or little Susie onto the playground and help support them so when they come back in that afternoon, they're not really flying off the handle. There's little things that we can do to support our colleagues. Long term though, obviously, that's not a long-term solution. Long term, you really need to use your learning support team. You need to document every little thing, because if you're going to go down the path of a diagnosis or a suspension or support or therapy or anything like that, you've got to have documentation to back it up. You can't just say, oh my God, he runs amok every single day and that's it. You've got to have details. How often, how long, exactly what is it? Yes, that creates work for us, but it's the solution in the long run. What you do that year with that child may not work for you. If it's one of those long-term problems, it could help the teacher the next year though, who's already got all of this documentation that says blah, it's continuing with a different teacher, so it can't be the teacher, you know, that supports them as well. And utilize your executive. I know there's a lot of people out there that say, oh, our executive do nothing. I find it so hard to believe that. I've you know, there's always an executive on that team that wants to do something, that wants to make the change, even if it's just that one person, and sometimes maybe they just don't have the voice to do it. Maybe they need you to back them up as well. It goes vice versa. Federation, if you're a member of Federation, even if you're not a member of Federation, you know, document all of that stuff and let them know that teachers and students don't feel safe in the workplace. That's the kind of stuff that you need to go down that path. And I never want it to be about getting rid of a child. That should not be the solution, because we can't do that in life. We can't just get rid of them. Sure, they can get fired from a job. They could go to prison. Is that really the path that we want them to go down though? No, we want them to be successful, and it starts with us as young as possible. I'm talking even playgroup preschool, we can have interventions then. Early intervention is the key. So I guess today was just a little bit of a rant. I wanted to get that one out there though, because I feel like even if we're the people that we do believe, we do know that there's a root cause of behaviors, and our children are not evil. They're not inherently evil. They're not born that way. I can't believe that in myself. If I believe that children are inherently evil, I don't think I could keep doing this job, and I love my job. So if we see those things and we know what's going wrong, I guess be the voice, you know. Every kid needs a champion. We all know this. It doesn't have to be their classroom teacher to be their champion. Work with each other, help support each other, because really we all need each other in this business. So I'll leave it there. If you agree with me and you think all of our kids can, you know, be supported and find a way to get through whatever it is they're going through, give the video a thumbs up. That would be great. Feel free to subscribe. There's a notification bell at the bottom if you want a notification when a new video is put up. I'll leave my subscription button there and another video at the top. I hope you all have a great week of teaching and learning. We've only got a couple of weeks until holidays here. See you later, guys. Bye.